Hello, I'm Dwight Eubanks, and I'm here with America Top Salon. I'm here with the CEO and president of stopCAID Now. Lisa, tell me about CAID, and to just look at you, you're all so fashionable and always so beautiful. Love the toenail polish, the white nail polish on your nails, and this fabulous skirt. And it's all connected to fashion and beauty, and that's what this whole episode, this whole series is about, and the connection and the marriage between your life and just the amazing things that you're doing with your foundation. Tell us about that.
Thank you. Well, stopCAID Now, I coined CAID, which stands for Childhood Autoinflammatory Diseases. And I coined it out of desperation because my son Brody has no prognosis and has a very rare and genetic disease that falls under an autoinflammatory category.
Now, he was born.
He was born with it, but I didn't really recognize his symptoms because, you know, as an infant, you're crying and you have some of the more normal symptoms that you can have. And but it wasn't until his 6th month that I really started noticing his fevers were continuous, and they would go up to like 105, and they would be repetitive. And then he would have these rashes on his body, and now I know that the rashes were actually the inflammation in his body that were so severe that you could see on the outside. You couldn't touch him. I mean, he was always in a diaper. As a matter of fact, Brody's first words were boo-boo, and he would take Band-Aids and try to cover up the rashes because he thought that the Band-Aids would take them away. But the most, I think, significant thing that brought me to the hospitals more so was that he was in such excruciating pain. And the pain is caused by this inflammation.
And there's nothing that you can give him or the doctors can give him?
Well, for the 18.5 months, I pretty much just would bounce him. And everybody who follows me knows that I'd be on an exercise ball and literally just bounce him and try to soothe him until there was a diagnosis. And then the diagnoses of atypical Blau's syndrome and now vasculitis and possible mitochondrial, he was given over an adult dose of injections daily. So when we got that diagnosis, I'd literally have to sit on Brody and give him 2 injections a day. And he was always so strong, even as a child, like just strong-willed, that he would take his leg and do this. And so the injection would come in and out. And then he got very comfortable. He had a plateau with these treatments. And then I had to keep going to another treatment, and then right now there's other options, but I'm pretty much at my last option for him, which he's the only child at CHOP who gets infusions twice a month of Remicade, which helps with his infusions. He is so used to pain that it's become his norm. So his 10 is normal. It's when he's above 10 that he gets really where if you walk by him, you'd be like, this is a child with a meltdown, where you can't, he's in so much pain you can't even communicate with him. He's erratic and just screaming, and normally that would be how my nights were. I'd be up all during the night, maybe an hour a night of sleep. And
so you mean to tell me that this is ongoing? It's
ongoing. It's ongoing. I mean, he definitely has more relief with the diagnoses and treatments. I mean, but it takes the edge off. It doesn't take the pain away. He's just so used to it. Like, we were he got an infection of the cartilage in his ear, and we were at the hospital, and the doctor said, well, what's your level? And he said, red. My head's always red. And that goes to, I developed a pain buddy. And it's kind of like the smile, you know, the scale of the smiley faces, and this pain buddy is plastic, and it looks like a little boy, and it's cut out, and it has Velcro on different areas of the body. And there's red for very painful, orange for medium, and then yellow for it hurts but not so bad. And so he can take the arrows in the morning or the day and place them on the body. So he was telling the nurse, and they were like, well, you're not screaming, crying. And he goes, but I'm always in pain. And it's just telling. I mean, here's a 5-year-old who flushes his own IV, puts himself to sleep, so he's gone through the ringer. It's never easy as a mom to see your child in pain. I think as most who have followed me and as I had shared with you, is that when he was a baby and he'd be screaming in pain, I would look under his clothes and be like, what's prickling him, or what's on him, or what can I do and stop it? And Then when he was old enough to kind of tell me that it was his legs, his head feels like cactuses, his arms, you know, then I knew, and then I kept thinking, what's worse? Hearing your child in pain and not knowing where it's coming from and not being able to help them, or knowing where it's coming from and not really being able to help them? And then the 2 nights ago when he said, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, he had been up screaming, and he said, Mommy, I want it to stop. I want it to stop. And he goes, it hurts. And at that point was the first time I actually held him crying during one of these episodes, because there's nothing harder than not being able to take that pain away. And hence why I started the foundation, because CAID covers so many of these diseases.
There's a list
of inflammation that these kids, that's the thing.
What, over 20 something?
Yeah, we cover over 30, 40 diseases directly. But indirectly, I mean, you have Alzheimer's, autism, ALS, the mitochondrial, so more diseases that people have heard of. But if people really took a focus of what these diseases are, they're autoinflammatory diseases.
But you in my mind, I think of older people, not infant, not baby.
Right, especially with like vasculitis,
and going through such excruciating pain at such a young age, and to have to live through that. And what kind of support do you have?
God. I mean, I have faith.
I mean, not only do you have one kid, but you have 2.
Right.
And to have to go through juggling.
And Aiden has mitochondrial, and they're just both, we live in the moment. We really live in the moment, because every moment changes. And I remember thinking to myself, how can I tell everybody, which I do, I don't post things, I don't say things and then go hide in a corner and cry. You see me how I am.
And you're always so put together. How do you juggle?
Always put together, but
I mean, everyone I see you, you're always done.
You.
You're always beautiful. Makeup is always flawless. Hair is flawless. Fashion is gorgeous. And still be able to juggle the lifestyle of what you're doing and managing infants and babies. I mean, dealing with adults is a little different, but dealing with your own babies and the excruciating pain that they go through on a daily basis. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And to be able to have a foundation to educate people, you wear many, many hats.
I do.
I mean, this book that you've written, you know, and it's just so informative, and it helped us as a general ignorant public to understand that what we're going through in our own lives, adversity comes in our lives.
Right.
But somehow what we're going through individuals is not so bad. That's nothing compared to what you're going through, particularly with the passion of kids. And, you know, kids is just that innocence.
Right.
And so often you want to ask yourself, God, why? Why me? How, you know? But you handle it so well, and I just commend you. Tell me about the book.
Well, the book was written because my oldest kept asking if Brody was going to die. And that's when I realized that there needed to be a book written for the families to understand about the diseases, the doctors to be able to use it as education and more informative, as well as the children to realize that they're not alone. And so that's what stemmed the idea, is because I literally, when Brody was diagnosed and Aiden was going through his things too, I drew a picture of 2 bodies, and I kind of showed them how each body works, and that we're guaranteed now. You know, my boys are very spiritual in their own way, and I say, how can you have faith and not give it all to God? And that's a very hard thing to do, because it's my children. It's not easy. I don't.
So this book is for, you can purchase it.
Yeah, this book is on the website at www.stopCAIDNow.org, and all the families get them free. But yes, it's educational. And then it provides that support for the children, because that was the thing. When I started the foundation, I thought, okay, so where can I help the doctors? That was the CME, the CAID clinic, okay? So they get all the education they need accredited by the Cleveland Clinic. And then the families and their support and the events that I've had. And then it was the children and the awards, and letting them know that until I get the cure, that I'm there for them, you know, that I'm there.
So you went from a book to this fabulous
perfume.
Tell me about this.
The perfume was created, and I say this all the time, it's not to put any other foundations down, but I mean, it costs a lot of money even for the bands, for the t-shirts and stuff like that. And I thought, you don't know if some of these bands say, I love Justin Bieber or Save the Boobs. So I spent the money on developing perfume, was in a lab coat. He created this perfume, and it says La Fin de CAID, which means the end of CAID. And the box describes why the foundation was started. And 100% of the perfume purchase goes to the foundation. And it's the first foundation to create perfume. I think you grabbed.
And where can you purchase this?
On the website as well. And it's also sold at, sprayed you.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, that smells good too.
Thank you.
It's quite lovely.
The greatest part about it is I can be walking down the street and somebody's like, I love your perfume, what are you wearing? Hence, I get to educate them on Stop CAID Now. And so there was the mindset of the funding for 100% to go back to the foundation, but also that spreads awareness.
So this can be worn unisex?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. That's what men have been telling me. But then I've also gotten people like, well, when are you going to make the men's cologne? I said, maybe next year.
Well, I mean, it has no gender.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't.
It has no sex.
No, and it's also sold at the 5-star hotel Nemacolin in Woodlands, Pennsylvania.
Well, you know, you've given us so much information, so much knowledge, so much about this dreadful, dreadful disease, and you've been a superwoman. I mean, you really are a superwoman to juggle all of these many hats, and being a single parent is a job by itself, and I commend you for all your endeavors. And you know, somehow we need to educate the public more, to inform them more about how we can get involved and help, because I find that people genuinely want to help.
Right.
But again, so often we don't know the right things to say or the right things to do. And I just want you to elaborate on a little bit of how we can get involved, the public, how we can come out to help, support, to rally behind this foundation, this organization that is so worthy to be praised. And me, myself, I'm going to figure out a way. If you're doing all of these wonderful things and juggling 2 kids and everything else, surely I can do more to help.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate that.
If everybody just take the time to support their initiative and to support a cause and to reach back and help. You know, I just feel that we could do more to help support.
I agree, and I think
and not just in your community, but communities all over the United States and the world, for that's concerned, because it is a worldly disease. It does not discriminate.
No, it does
not. And it has no sex. It has no race to it. And my thing is I keep going back to the kids. You know, to see the pictures of these amazing babies and their commitment and their love for God and their will to live and your will to encourage them and never let them see you sad is just amazing. And it goes back to why we're here, America Top Salon. And it's still connected to fashion and beauty, you know, and being able to support and help. And if we go and start with just hairdressers, educating them about how, because so often we're, as stylists, we're more than a stylist. We're that therapist. You know, when you have relationships with people that you see on an ongoing basis, for whether it's color touch-up, haircuts, or shampoos, those are conversations that you have. And this is a conversation that I was just totally ignorant about. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share the book, the knowledge, and I'm going to go back to my communities and spread as much information. And I want us to have an ongoing relationship. We met some years ago, but again, here we are again, and I am just so happy and elated to be a part of this new movement now to put this under my umbrella to support it and to help. Anything else you want to add or tell us about your amazing journey?
I just think that if more people understood that CAID was not one disease and encompasses so many diseases that they'd be helping if we got the cure. Indirectly, we cover thousands of diseases. Indirectly, we cover 30.
This face is just Adorable.
And he knows how to smile with his eyes. When somebody said, "Do you need to take your mask off for the camera?" and he says, "No, I smile with my eyes."
And you say he gives himself his own injection.
He actually flushes his IV. He gets infusions twice a month at Children's Hospital Philadelphia, and he flushes his own IV. When he's gone in for surgeries now, he doesn't like anybody to put him to sleep, so he puts himself to sleep.
You have some amazing kids.
I do.
You know, and their mother's genes has to be in there somewhere.
They're strong-willed.
Yeah.
They're very strong-willed.
Well, I thank you so much. It's been an evening, afternoon of great discussions, and we're here with America Top Salon. Thank you so much for sharing your information,
Thank
Lisa.
you.